Hello. All right. We are going live on back to school and what you need to know to be ready for next week. I can't believe that school starts on Monday. As both a teacher and a parent, I don't know what happened. I know we haven't been in school since March, but it just all seems to go by so quickly. And this week, for teachers coming back, everything kind of comes up. Oh, we forgot about this, or we're missing this, and this is happening. So it's been a bit of a couple of crazy days, and I think the next few will be as well. So look for some updates. I know Mr. Wilson is working on a newsletter of information. There are some teachers making phone calls over the next few days, and we're going to try to get you as ready and feeling as ready as possible. But I have another slide presentation, and just make sure that I stay on track and I don't go on and on and on like I sometimes do in the classroom and I get off topic. So we're going to share the PowerPoint that I made for back to school. I just have to make sure that I get it. All right. So sharing my screen, I'm going to share, as I mentioned, that presentation I made. Oh, apparently it's yelling at me that I'm not logged in, but I am logged in. Hang on. I need to share my screen. All right, share screen. Share screen. Chrome tab, there it is. Okay, I'm sharing my screen with you. All right, so I know as a parent, I would want to know everything about how do I get my kid ready for school? If they're a busser, what do I do? If they're getting dropped off, what do I do? So I kind of made a schedule of what a parent day should look like and what a student day will look like. So calendar, something to think about. The calendar is on the website. I know that it's been sent out before, but we do have the 5 days of face-to-face instruction with all of our safety protocols in place. Virtual students are expected to log in and complete work on every regularly scheduled school day. Now, in the 6 through 12, it's self-paced, so if they get ahead of time and they don't need to log in on a Friday, I get that. But they should be logging in every day to work on it in order to meet deadlines and be done by the end of the semester. See the calendar for regularly scheduled days off, half days, and the first 2 weeks, something to note next week, we don't have school on Friday, and then that next week we don't have school on Friday either, and it's Labor Day, so there's not school that next Monday. So our first 3 weeks of school are actually 4-day weeks instead of 5 days. It's 5-day weeks. It's the same as last year if you were with us last year, so it kind of follows that. We call it a soft opening as we try to figure things out. All right, safety. So just some reminders that these safety protocols and keeping your students safe is only going to work if we're all in this together. So parents, it is very necessary to screen your students to help keep all students safe. So please temperature check your child before the bus and or drop off. We're going to temp check them too, but we would rather you catch it at home than us catch it later, or for some reason we know kids come to school and then they don't start to feel well and things happen. But if we can catch them before they get to school, that would be great. Now, a fever technically is 100.4 or higher that you have to be concerned about with a fever. If your child has a fever for any reason, even if you don't think it's COVID, do not send them to school. Any kid with a fever should not be in school. And then from there, call your doctor, tell your doctor they have a fever. They'll ask you probably some screening questions about symptoms, and then let the office know, and we can also direct you and give you guidance on what to do in order for your child to return to school. All right, so that's safety. If you don't have a thermometer, try to get one. If you really can't get one, let me know and we'll see what we can come up with. Okay, emotional supports. I mentioned this when we were preparing the plan. Our goal is to help monitor your students and your families this is a crisis in our country. This is a hard time, and there's a lot going on right now. So everyone needs additional supports. And that's why we're continuing those morning meetings. And so what I put in here for getting ready for back to school is punctuality is important. That morning meeting is so important for your student and your student's teacher to build that safe community. We do have some classes that are combined here and there, and the students are with someone they might not have met before. We have a lot of new students. It's really important that everyone is here on time, 8 o'clock, even 5 minutes before 8, right? 10 minutes before 8, so that they can eat breakfast together and they can have those morning meetings to build that safe community. So please make sure you're on time. Okay, what to bring? So as I'm getting my daughter ready for second grade, what am I packing? Well, she's got her backpack. I didn't put this in here. It comes up later, but gym shoes, a sweater. We have AC. We're going to have the windows open, so it might get warmer, but it might also be cooler at certain times. So a sweater that's uniform approved to throw on. A water bottle that is full. We are closing our drinking fountains. The health department recommends they be closed unless they're water filling stations, and we don't have those. So we're closing them. They're just not safe enough right now with the concerns of COVID. So we're closing those. So bring a water bottle full. A pencil case or a box. The school is supplying just about everything you could need: paper, pencils, notebooks, folders. If your student, particularly your older students, like 3-ring binders, or they like a Trapper Keeper, or they like 5-subject notebooks, you'll want to get something specific to them. But we'll have notebooks and we'll have other materials. So really it's just a pencil case or box to put all those things in inside their desk that are their individual supplies, because we cannot share this year. Okay, lunch. If they're not eating the cafeteria food, you're going to have to pack a lunch. I recommend that it's things that can be opened without touching the food. So containers and little boxes that have flip tops that we can just flip that and then it opens and there's their food and we didn't have to touch any of it. Sometimes string cheese is probably okay because you can pull it without really touching the cheese if your kid can't open it. But really things that they either can open themselves and practice, or that if we're in the cafeteria helping, we can open without touching their actual food. So something to think about. And this is really important. If you've been on social media, I try to share the positive here, but a flexible attitude built up by you parents, that your kid is going to be safe. We're all in this together. We have to be flexible. We might find out the first week that the entrance and exit points that we've chosen aren't the best, and we might have to change them. We might find that we need a little extra time in the hallway for passing because that first week we were really rushing the kids and they shared with us it was too fast. We need more time. We can be flexible, but we have to keep in mind that that flexibility goes both ways, both with us as staff members, with you as parents, and with your students. So really building them up to, yes, it's different, but we can do this, and everyone's here together, and you're going to get to see your friends and your teachers, and you're going to get to keep learning. So really building up that positivity as much as you can so we can be successful this year. Okay, arrival, drop-offs. Okay, so getting your kid to school, if you drive your kid to school. Each classroom set has their own entry point. So K-5, you're going to drop off at that first portico when you first come in the drive, and there will be a staff member there to do a temp check. You should have already done it at home, but we're going to do it just in case. Okay, as we know, kids can get sick quickly. They get sick in the middle of the day sometimes at school. We're going to do a temp check, and if they clear, then they can go to their entry point. 6 through 8 drop off by the gym doors. They're going to do their temp check there. 7th will continue then, once they've had their temperature check, to their 7th grade room, and 6 and 8 will enter there and split into their middle school classrooms. 9 through 12 is going to drop off at the office portico and get their temperatures checked. If they drive in, they'll have to wait and get their temperatures checked to come in. And once they're temp checked, they can come in through the entry door. So really emphasize with your students, don't enter until you've had your temperature checked. Don't try to sneak in. This is not something we want kids to try to beat the system on or fight against the system. This is a safety thing for everybody. If we want everyone to feel safe in this building, we all have to be a part of that. And so as parents, it's really important that you share with your students, get your temperature checked. It's just to keep everybody safe. All right, bus stops. Each bus will ask that students use hand sanitizer as they board and put their mask on properly. They have to wear their masks the entire time they're on the bus ride. So I know a lot of students like to try to drink some water on the bus or a juice or whatever they brought, even though they're not supposed to eat or drink on the bus. They really can't do that because they need to keep their mask on the whole time. They will have assigned seats. They can't move seats. They can't argue about their seat. It's going to be very much, this is where you sit all the time because it's by grade level, so our cohorts are still together. They're going to try to take some temperatures at the bus stops without holding the bus stops up. So they'll check as many as they can as they board the bus. The rest will get on, and the aides will check the temperatures they missed while they go to the next stop. So everyone still had their temperature checked before we get to school. If we find that someone has a temperature and they're already on the bus on the way to school, we do have some buffer seats we'll put them in. And when we get to school, we'll quarantine them and we'll call home and say, hey, your kid ended up presenting with a temperature. Here are your next steps. Again, it doesn't mean it's COVID, but even if your child has a temperature because it's the flu or an ear infection, we want to make sure that they get the treatment they need and that they're not infecting kids with anything else. All right, masks. So I know this is a big one, and I've tried to talk about it a lot in the newsletters and updates. All the staff will be wearing masks. 6 through 12 students will wear masks at all times, except when eating. Obviously, there's that exception. And then K-5 students are going to wear their masks in common areas, but not in their classrooms with their cohorts. So once they're in their main classroom in K-5, they get to take their mask off. We're getting lanyards for the kids to put their masks on so that when they take it off, it's still hanging there and they don't have to put it in a pocket or wear it around their ear or as a bracelet. And it's right there, and hopefully that helps with losing it. I know there are some jokes around there. My kid went to school in a Spider-Man mask and came back with a PJ mask. We don't want that happening. So the lanyards are really going to help with that. Please put your kids' either name or last name on their mask. I know I do our last name because I have 2 kids, and I know my kids can switch up their masks, but after I've washed them. But just a name, just in case it does get dropped, and we can wash it and get it back to you. All right. Hallway transitions, middle school and high school. There is a bell for high school, and we got really used to that over the last year. However, that's going to have to change a little. We're going to have to ignore it kind of this year. We might see about turning it off, but that might be more hassle than it's worth. So it's really going to be me saying, okay, my class, let's go in the hallway. Let's get your stuff. Get ready to go to your next class. Okay, a majority of you are going to math. So then the math class is going to get in the hallway, and then my class will go into the math room. Okay. And then the math kids will get their stuff, and wherever they're headed, then that room can come out. So it's really a class in the hallway. And then that second one transitioning out while one goes in. So it's not a lot of students at one time, which means we're going to be very flexible with that. So that flexible thinking is really important for that. Okay, special items to think about. Dress for and or leave items for gym class here. They are going outside for gym unless it's raining. It gets cool in the morning. Sometimes there's frost in the grass by September, October, right? So make sure your kids are, girls, if they're wearing skirts in the elementary, have them bring a pair of pants for gym, or just say, hey, it's a gym day. You're wearing pants today. And make sure they have a jacket that they can take out, and they have those gym shoes here at school, because we've got to go out as much as possible to give them that freedom and that play, and they can take their masks off when they're outside. The gym is considered a common area, so they're going to have to wear their masks if gym is inside. So we really, really want to get them outside as much as possible. And then teaching outside. So some parents have already brought some pop-up tents for some of the teachers to use with our outside doors. So I have one in my room and plan to pop it up as much as possible for a little bit of shade here and there. Even if we don't have that, though, we can go out and sit in the sun. But the grass is kind of itchy, so I recommend bringing like a beach towel or another small towel to sit on the grass if we go outside, and we can talk about books outside, and other classes are probably going to do that. So I recommend with the high schoolers especially to bring something that you could sit on outside so that you don't get all itchy with the grass. Okay. Extracurriculars, we're probably not going to start extracurriculars until September. These first couple weeks, when I say September, I guess I should say after Labor Day, because next week is September and we won't be ready next week or in 2 weeks. So really be patient as we get all of our school procedures down and what's happening during classes before we consider extracurriculars. We're also going to have to evaluate extracurriculars for how safe can we be in them, because any crossing of cohorts has to have 6 feet, has to have masks. So if it's not feasible, then we'll have to say we have to wait until phase 5 where there's less restrictions. So just be patient as we work out extracurriculars, probably not until after Labor Day. Cafeteria and food service. So lunch will be a little bit different and so will breakfast. So please let your student know that. Breakfast will be delivered to the classrooms and eaten in the rooms. Eaten in the rooms is not different, but the delivered to the classroom is. A lot of the students would get dropped off by the gym doors and pick up a breakfast and then go to class. We're not doing that. That was a lot of congestion. That was mixing kids in different grades, which we're not doing this during this time of phase 4 because we want to be as safe as possible. So when your student enters their entry point, which we talked about earlier, then they're going to need to go straight either to their locker or to their homeroom where their cubby or locker is, straight there. There's no wandering the hallways up and down looking for people saying, hey, get your stuff, get into your homeroom. The cafeteria workers will bring a bagged breakfast to the room and we'll still do breakfast and morning meeting at that time. Lunch is still happening in the cafeteria. We are going to have the tables separated by grade. They're all going to face the same way. We've talked about that. Something I want middle school and high school to be aware of. It's not as much of an issue in elementary. Usually the kids want to go out for recess, right? But in middle school and high school, a lot of them would choose not to. We don't really have that flexibility with that as we're separating middle school and high school lunches. So high school eats while middle school is outside, and they're going to flip with different doors for entry and exit points, but they're going to flip. So the high schoolers can't stay in the lunchroom while the middle schoolers come in for their lunch. So they're going to have to be ready to go outside. So again, dress appropriately, dress for the weather, not a bad skill to learn in life. Obviously, we don't go outside if it's raining. We will have a backup plan for that. We usually do it with our within our classrooms then in the elementary. So that's probably what we'll have to do in high school is with homerooms. And we'll figure that out again. A lot of this is going to be figuring it out with the students' help and what works for them, especially those transition times. What works best? There's a lot of built-in hand washing, and we're going to have to learn how to do that maybe a little more quickly. Are there secondary sinks that a class can use? For instance, the art room isn't being used all the time. So could that bathroom sink be used for another class to wash hands more quickly to get to lunch and all of those things? So we're going to be working on this as the year goes on to make sure our systems and processes work efficiently and keep kids as safe as possible. So if you hear something or have suggestions, please let me know. There's no reason we can't make an adjustment and do the things that we need to do. All right, so I'm going to open it up to questions. I don't know if anyone's on that is going to ask me questions right now, but it is a little slow, so I'll pause. But I will save this on the website so that anyone who's ready for back to school and wants to know what to do, you can watch this. And you can always shoot me an email. Some of you did that after the last one, which was great. I was able to answer some additional questions. So again, my email is Katz, K-A-T-Z-L, as in Leslie, at marshallacademy.org. So you can also answer questions. If you have them, shoot me an email. Again, this week is kind of crazy. I still have to get all the kids into the virtual program, get them their logins. I'm getting Chromebooks ready, but we'll be ready by Monday. It's going to happen. Always does. It always comes together. So any questions on back to school, getting ready, starting on Monday? I know I have to wear a mask all day, but I'm still so excited to see students. I cannot wait until we have students in this building. That is our calling. That's what we love. I want to see kids. So I'm not seeing any questions. Let me see. Okay. Well, either, again, I'm a good presenter, or I messed something up and I can't see your comments, or you just don't have any right now, which is fine. All right. It's nice and short and sweet. So that's great, because if I post a 20-minute video, people might actually watch it. Oh, we got a question. Okay. Question about temp checks. Got to be more specific. What's your question? I could just start talking about temp checks until I see the actual comment come through. Temp checks will be done by staff members. We have the infrared thermometers to quickly check. Have I seen the video floating around on Facebook about taking temperatures? I've seen a lot of stuff floating around on Facebook about taking temperatures. I don't know which one specifically you're talking about. I do know there's concerns about infrared thermometers and taking accurate temperatures, so they can get overheated. Luckily, in the morning when we're temp checking, it's not super hot out, so overheating should not be an issue. And we did test it with staff this week. We did a bus run just like the students would. We temp checked, we did assigned seats, we went for a ride, we got dropped off the way that students would, so we all kind of understood how that worked, and we didn't have any issues there. The thermometers we bought, we had one that they were using for sports and it was overheating. And so we bought another one, and that one was not overheating. So it's a better one. Now, I would rather have a false reading on a temperature check and err on the side of caution than not. So, if we take a temperature and we put them in the quarantine room and then we take their temperature again on a fresh thermometer and there's no fever, then we can, go from there. I've not seen anything recommended on wrists instead of foreheads. I know the doctor office still does it on the foreheads. So until the health department tells us differently, we're going to do it the way they told us to. So, yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions? I'll give it another minute, but I don't want to go over too long because then nobody's going to watch the video if it's too long. That's how my brain works. So I'm sure other brains work that way too. Okay. All right. Again, email me, ask questions. There's a little link on our Facebook or on our website for questions and comments too. I will load this to our webpage and share it out through social media and email that it's there if anyone wants to watch it. The slideshow and slide presentations there as well. And I look forward to seeing everyone on Monday, and best of luck this week as you prep your kids, getting them up early, ready for that schedule. And please, again, be very positive as you build up to the school year. We're all in this together. We can do this. We can be flexible. We can change to improve. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.